Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we're going to fiber etch some stainless steel. There are actually quite a few steps involved with making this custom plaque. It's 304 stainless steel, and it's fiber laser etched and plasma cut. So the first step of making this is actually plasma cutting. And what the plasma cutter does is actually just cut it out, but it cuts it by melting. It's sort of similar to the laser behind me here, where just the heat of the process is what cuts the material. So in the case of a laser, it's high energy photons going right through the material and burning all the way through. And with the plasma, it's actually an arc of plasma, and it does the same thing on stainless steel. When it comes to plasma cutting stainless steel, in this case here, you can look at the surface of it. You know right away that it's 2B and it's not number 4. Number 4 finish has a nice brush finish to it, and this is 2B. The reason why I go with 2B generally is because the surface will end up getting scratched up anyways for these kind of things. And I just got to use the orbital to clean it up anyways, so I might as well just get sort of the cheaper stainless steel and then finish it myself, rather than get the finished stainless steel and then have to clean it up and fix it up using a whole bunch of different processes to remove scratches. Another thing I got relatively recently, but I lived a long time without, is actually really good drill press. I can't say enough great things about my drill press. It's just so efficient and so fast and so solid for doing this kind of work. So the next step after plasma cutting is actually cleaning up the plate. I don't clean up beforehand because the grit on the plasma table is actually relatively sharp. It's got lots of stuff on it. So it's better off just using the raw sheet of material, put it on the machine, cut it out, and then after that do the cleanup. Now the reason why I do the cleanup before I do the fiber laser etching is because I want to have a nice clean surface for the laser to hit it with photons to create the color change. In this case here, I'm using the fiber laser. And what the fiber laser does is that it tempers the metal and it sort of scratches it. I looked at this, I went to an industrial trade show a couple of years ago, and I actually had something like this similar, but in my pocket, much smaller. And they had these super microscopes that people use for aerospace. And I just was curious what it would look like, you know, the darkness here, what does it look like under a microscope? And it actually just looks like scratches. It's pretty amazing. So it's basically micro scratches on the surface of it. We're using the heat of the laser to do it. Now, as you can see here, the etching is black. Now, the nice thing about the laser when it does this kind of work is that there's no inks, dyes, or any other sort of printing involved. It's actually just superheated metal that causes the contrast. And as a result, there's nothing that's fade, crack, or peel over time. This is pretty much indestructible. And you can just throw it from an airplane, 30,000 feet, and it will land. The metal will be all bent up, maybe, and you'll still be able to read this without an issue. It's actually part of the metal. It's not something that was added to the metal or removed from the metal. It's actually the metal itself. Now, maybe there's a special place in hell for people like me who just use an orbital with rough sandpaper to clean up and polish stainless steel. But it works just so wonderfully, and it gives you a really nice finish on it. I could actually adjust the amount of mirror finish on the stainless steel by doing it myself this way. Number 4 finish looks great, and we used a ton of that in the shop for welding tags to plaques and everything else in between. But I just prefer the finish from I get with my orbital. And again, it's a low-tech way to clean up metal, and it just works so beautifully. Now, when it comes to fiber etching here, you can see obviously it's sped up dramatically. Fiber etching is a very slow process, whether we use the gantry system or the galvo. They all have their plus and minus, but there's no fast way to achieve a permanent result on stainless steel. Yes, I could go 3 times faster, but then I don't have as much power hitting the plate. Therefore, the etching is not as deep or as strong, so to speak, as it would be if I go slower. So you've got to get optimal settings where you're going just fast enough to produce the best result, but not so slow that it takes forever and not so fast that nothing happens. So we have quite a few different CNC machines here in the shop, so it allows us to do different things on different projects. So in this case here, let's say you wanted some of these elements actually cut through. We can do that. We have a couple of machines that could do that. You can use the water jet, you can use the plasma, you can use the laser. And they all have their optimal area of cutting. We're getting resolution, speed, and time, and so forth. But the nice thing about etching is that, as you can see, it's very clearly legible. Try to zoom in if I can. And you still maintain the contrast of the, as you can see my reflection here, you still have the contrast of the stainless steel. So it's stainless steel throughout. And what the etching does versus annealing, I also do a little bit of annealing, but really most of our work now is on etching. And the reason for that is because if this was annealed, it'd still be black like you see here, but you'd have so much more reflection that it's actually hard to read. And when it's etched, you lose a lot of that reflection only where it's etched. So it creates a nice sort of visual for having it on a wall. So if you're looking for custom plaques, stainless steel, wood, whatever, contact me at CNCKing.com. We'll make it for you and ship it right to your door.